right now, I think there's one guaranteed position. Jake, you want to take the honors of introducing him?
The one, the only Aaron Judge is who we are starting with because he's the only sure thing that we have going on right now. And boy, is he a good sure thing to have. We're talking about the best player in the league last season. Him and Otani, you can argue for either or, but I mean, if you look at the stats, Judge was far and wide the best in terms of WAR. Nearly won that triple crown. They have him playing left field as of today, in the outfield in spring training, and he threw a dude out in his first attempt. Just a wall ball kid trying to make the team, trying to leg out foolishly a double. And Judge just did what he does from center field and right field all the time and just one hopped it. Can't say that I'm surprised. He looks so natural there that I honestly am now questioning everything I knew about where I saw him playing this season. I was thinking mainly going to be right field and center field just while Harrison Bader is working his way back from his injury, which is a big blow that we'll get into later. But I could see him just based off of those plays playing significant time in left field now, which makes it almost more frustrating just because it adds more question marks to what are you going to do with right field? What are you going to do with center field? Um, there's not much to say about this dude. He's the best. 11.2 or whatever it was. Um, I'm just excited for another year of grand production out of him.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes without saying we've been wax poetic about Judge from our 2022 preview or our 2022 review, rather. And when he signed with us, and for a while, Judge was the least sure thing about this Yankees team as we were going through free agency with him. And now he's just about the most sure thing on the position player side. Judge last year had an MVP caliber first half, which I think is in line with what you might see from him. In 89 games, he had 33 homers, 74 runs, 70 RBI, and he hit 284. His second half, in only 70 games, he had 29 homers, 61 RBI. That's a lot higher of a rate. He played 25 fewer games than the first half, hit about the same homers and RBI, and he hit 350 in the second half. Judge had an otherworldly season. If he plays like he did the entire first half, that is still an MVP caliber season, and someone who carries this team. The Yankees had a really rough August, really, really rough, like all-time bad, and they had a decent, pretty solid September. Aaron Judge's September and October, he had 11 homers in September and he hit 380. If you go through the Yankees September splits without Aaron Judge, it was quite mediocre. And I think that's why this episode starts with Aaron Judge and brings us so much concern, because Aaron Judge played out of his shoes as Aaron Judge. So Aaron Judge regressing to the mean, which we have to expect, even if he has a lull, is going to be an overly positive player. He's going to be an MLB All-Star, one of the best players in baseball. But if we have to rely on Hall of Fame, I mean, not even Hall of Fame, like all-time stretches from Judge to carry this team down the end of the season because of uncertainty at third base, left field, even center field now. He played center field a lot of last year. It's not something that we can rely on. I know the Yankees won 99 games. They had a really good start, but we limped to the finish line. Aaron Judge is the reason why we salvaged that division title and why, honestly, we progressed past the wild card round, because without him, we're looking at like a 5 seed and losing that divisional position.
Yep. So baseball reference right now, 84% reliability for his 2023 projections, 41 bombs, 99 rubies, 288 average, 953 OPS. That's the floor. I don't see him regressing past that point, which is just stupid to say, but it's true.
Yeah,
I
it's a
can
down
see
year for him.
it's a down year for him. And then on top of that, he made his emphasis this offseason working on his contact skills with 2 strikes on him. Because I think that's where he suffered the most, is he had like a 190 batting average or something along those lines with 2 strikes on him. And he talked a lot with Paul Goldschmidt about changing his approach in those situations so he can adjust better to the off speed pitch and just fight off more pitches in general. I see him gunning for a 320, 330 average. I think that's like because he's such a perfectionist. I see him, that's where he's going to be satisfied. And even then, I think he's going to say nothing's ever perfect for me. Um, so maybe his home runs do go down a little bit. I could see him still popping off 50 easy. But I would take a 45, 47 homer season with a 330 average any day of the week. It's almost like Miggy Cabrera in his prime, but even better somehow. That's the type of player that I think he's striving to be at this point. So, I mean, there's really not too much that you need to say about his performance. He's proven that he can stay healthy several years back to back to back. So, like, I really don't think we have to dwell on him too much just because it's like beating a dead horse at this point. Or it's a very alive horse that has a fuck ton of horsepower.
Aaron Judge last year on specifically on 1-2, 0-2, 1-2, and 2-2 counts. On how do I quantify the stat? On pitches on 0-2, 1-2, or 2-2 that ended the at bat, Aaron Judge was about league average in slugging, batting average, and the strikeout rate was above league average. That was the only moderately average thing about him the entire year. He spent the offseason, some of the offseason, hanging out with Paul Goldschmidt, the National League MVP from last year, to talk about a significantly productive like two-strike approach. Aaron Judge looked at the one weakness in his game from last year, one of the best offensive seasons in the modern era, and looked to cover up his one hole. His upper level stats are probably like he's probably going to regress, but he's looking to become an even more rounded hitter. This is someone who we need to see with runners on base being productive. He's a really high run scorer every year, but he led off and played center field a lot more. When you think of leadoff center fielders, you think of like Kenny Lofton. You don't think of Aaron Judge. And I know that's an old way of thinking, but this guy needs to be in the 2 hole, in the 3 hole, surrounded by some decent bats at the top of our lineup. And that's where we start. We can't be relying on him just trying to get him more at bats because we hope he'll run into a homer and win us a game. But that's what he can do. That's what he often will do. And I'm excited to go see him again for this year and for 8 more after that.
Yeah, I mean, he drove in 131 runs batting in the 1 or 2 spot. That's silly. Like, if you have him batting where he should be, which is probably 3, arguably 4, you're looking at a 150 run RBI season, which is just something that does not come across often, but he could do it realistically the next few years in a row, especially if he is changing his 2-strike approach. So I'm nothing but excited about this dude. I think we need to move on to the mess of what we're working with now.